So yeah, my brother, he's a new Republican, and you know what that means. He's gonna control the oil prices one day, and he's gonna be the big man going to politics and start ruling the country and telling people what to do. I just want to be an artist. I just want to go on the street. I just want to go somewhere warm, you know, where there's sunshine. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy being rich, a rich kid. It's not easy being the younger rich brother. It's hard.
Stop. Let's just do Igby Goes Down and get it over with.
This is Igby Goes Down.
Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Butler.
And I'm Mike Field.
And this is Forgotten Cinema, a show where we take a look at films that seem to be forgotten by audiences, whether it be because a more popular film was released at the same time, or the film simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the film, maybe don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit. You never know. You might find your own forgotten gem. If you love Forgotten Cinema, we want to hear from you. We're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We're everywhere. We are on all platforms. The backlog of over 300 episodes for your pleasure.
The more we do this from memory, the worse it gets.
I know, that was pretty good. What you talking about?
You're like, as soon as you started off, I was like, that's not how it starts off. Hey, what's going on?
Oh, nothing. You know, I'm just a spoiled rich kid. You know, I hated my mom growing up because she always made me go to these rich people schools. And my dad was a depressed loser. And he was all depressed and went to the insane asylum. And I was just a little kid. It really affected me. You know, I had every chance in the world with all the money in the world. And I was still unhappy because, you know, I was just too smart for my own good. You know, that's what it is. So I got kicked out of every school that I could possibly be in. And then I decided to run away and hide away in New York with my godfather's penthouse that he was leaving for his side piece.
That's more of a loft.
You know, I was just banging girls left and right and trying to figure out who I was. Just who I was.
Oh boy. So I already get a sense of your thought process for this movie. A little backstory for those who don't know from the last episode, but we picked this movie. I can't remember who picked it. You put it on the big list because it was a suggestion
from Elise.
Yes.
My significant other.
Yes. But you didn't really know.
I knew nothing of the movie.
Yeah,
I did not know the movie.
And I did. And then I explained it to you. And you're just like, oh no.
Yeah, you read me the description last week and I was just like, uh-oh.
All right. So let's get into the facts and then we will get into the discussion, which I'm guessing is good. So Igby Goes Down has a runtime of 98 minutes. It's rated R. Production budget of $9 million. So it has 2 release dates.
Okay.
Because it wasn't, and when I say wide release, it's only like 157 screens.
That kind of makes sense for a movie like this.
So I did a little something different this time around, and we'll get through it. I did both weekends, limited and wide, because I don't know, because I remember seeing this film, and I want to say that I saw it in its limited release run. So
you saw it in? I think it was saw this in theaters.
One of the benefits of we're in the East Coast, we're obviously in Connecticut. One of the benefits of even Southern Connecticut is that typically when a film is New York, LA release, it's pretty much, it's also Connecticut, like Fairfield County.
Yeah.
So we have that, not every movie, but we have access to some films that are both just coast films. So that's a benefit here. So I think I did see this limited release. So I'm going to do both weekends. And then, but I'll blow through it since there's not a lot of facts for this movie anyways. So its limited release date was September 13th, 2002. That weekend it did $300,000. Domestic was $4.8 million. This is the full total. Domestic was $4.8 million. International was $2.2 million. So a worldwide total of $7 million. Its wide release date was October 11th. So about a month after. And that's opening weekend. It did $438,000. So it's not a big, it's not a movie in terms of it's an indie, which we've done before. On its limited release date, the September 13th, if you go back a week to the 6th, you had it up against Swim Fan, City by the Sea.
I forgot about Swim Fan.
And then there was a double feature release of Spider-Man and Men in Black 2. It came out it was like one of those buy one ticket, see both movies kind of thing, which they don't do that anymore.
They should bring those back.
Those are fun. Then the 13th, when this film came out, you had Stealing Harvard, Barbershop and 1 Hour Photo, which I kind of want to go back to because I remember liking 1 Hour. I want to go back to 1 Hour Photo. This is a Robin Williams drama or thriller.
Right.
And I want to go back to Insomnia. I want to watch those two films again.
I really want to watch Insomnia again. I've only seen parts of 1 Hour Photo.
It's more of a serial killer thriller vibe in that one. Yeah. The 20th, the week after, September 20th, you had a wide release of The Banger Sisters, which is actually Susan Sarandon, who's in this film. Ballistic X vs. Sever. Do you remember that?
I do. It's based on like the Game Boy Advance game or whatever.
Oof.
Yeah.
Trapped and The Four Feathers. And you had a limited release that weekend of Detox, Spirited Away, the IMAX release of Apollo 13. So this was when IMAX was gaining popularity in the theater. So they re-released Apollo 13 and then the re-release of Lawrence of Arabia. So if you go to the wide release date of October 11th, you have it. You have the week before the 4th of October, you had Red Dragon, Jonah, a VeggieTales movie, and then the limited release of Welcome to Collinwood, Heaven, and Bloody Sunday, which is really good. The 11th, when this came out and it's wide, you had The Transporter, Knock Around Guys, White Oleander, and the Rules of Attraction, Brown Sugar, and Tuck Everlasting.
I know a lot of these movies. I'm pretty impressed with myself.
Good for you. And a limited release of Swept Away, Guy Ritchie's best film.
Hey, you just brought that up.
I know.
Like a week ago.
We were talking about
Guy Ritchie films.
Fountain of Youth.
Yes.
The trailer had just come out for that. So as we're recording this episode, and then we started talking about Guy Ritchie movies. So
which I totally forgot about Sherlock Holmes.
Really?
And when we were talking, like, oh, he can only do the gangster movies. But like, I really like Sherlock Holmes. So that proves me wrong right there.
It does, but Sherlock Holmes is in his wheelhouse, is England,
kind of English,
and when like you move, and in the first film, he's like doing the bare knuckle boxing.
Okay.
So it does. So you're proving my point. Okay. No, it kind of. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Listen, we've talked about off
the rails.
We talked about this that there's no more adventure films, and I think they really dropped the ball with the Uncharted one, with the Uncharted movie that came out.
Oh yeah, it was nice.
And there hasn't been a decent one since maybe National Treasure.
Probably.
Yeah.
Of like original.
I mean, I guess I'm biased when I say I love all the Indiana Jones films. I understand the hate for a lot of other ones.
The train scene in the last movie is awesome. I don't care, regardless of what
I like all five, and if you don't like it, you don't forget you've forgotten your childhood. I'm very hesitant to. I don't know, but I'm hopeful.
I think John Krasinski is the right choice to play like that adventure professor. He's got the look, but Guy Ritchie just I don't know, when he steps out of his wheelhouse. Like, I'm not a huge Wrath of Man guy. I think you like it more than me.
I think it's got decent action.
I don't like Aladdin, I did not like King Arthur.
I wanted more.
I like very little of King Arthur. There are some parts I like.
Yeah. All right, we're off the rails here. Anyways, well, the Guy Ritchie podcast will come later on. We'll talk about that. The week after this wide release on the 18th, you had Abandon, The Ring, and Formula 51, and a limited release of Real Women Have Curves and The Gray Zone.
Wait, how long is this out from the?
This is the wide release on the 11th.
And that's when The Ring came out?
The Ring was October 18th, 2002.
So now we're like a month away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This production company was United Artists and Atlantic Streamline, and it was distributed by MGM. Tongue-tied here. Written and directed by Burr Steers. Steers has directed 17 again and Charlie St. Cloud. If you did, he also wrote How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, and he wrote and directed Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. And if I know who Burr Steer is, you know what he looks like because he is the dude on the couch in the opening scene of Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. I read that. I was like, him. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Because I looked him up.
He's the one that gets shot off, kind of off screen because they don't show it.
Yeah. I really like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Okay.
Elise and I were talking about that before because I was like, what else has this guy done? And I saw Charlie St. Cloud and I was like, that makes sense. But then I saw How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days and I'm like, that's actually like, I don't usually like romantic comedies because they're so rote, but like I like that one a lot. So I was kind of surprised he wrote that. Matthew McConaughey.
Yep. Awesome.
Pre-Failure to Launch. And is she Failure to Launch?
Failure to Launch is Sarah Jessica Parker.
Okay. She's Fool's Gold though. I know that.
Yeah. Actually, I think they're doing another one together.
Oh, are they?
So
I thought he swore off.
No, wait a minute. I think they're doing a sequel to that.
To Fool's Gold?
No, to...
Oh, they are to How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Yeah. It's like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Years or something.
Something like that, yeah. All right. Well, so we're just everywhere.
Still way off the rails.
You know what? I didn't forgive me, but I usually look up how to say these people's names, and this is going to be a butchering show right here. Shut up. Cinematographer was Weidigo von Schlosendorf. I think I got it. I almost was like, that's not real. Like, that's not a real name. And I was like looking up, I go, no, it's a real name. All right. He's done The 13th Floor, which I think is this season.
It's this season. Yeah. It's coming
and
out.
Hollywood Ending. His composer was Uwe Ferenckrog Peterson. He did All the Queen's Men, and he wrote 99 Luftballons. He is actually.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool.
So he's got all these credits for that song because it's in all the movies, but there's only a few movies he was a composer for. Edited by William Anderson and Padraic McKinley. Anderson has done The Truman Show and Dead Poets Society. Did you see Dead Poets Society?
Yes, but a long time ago. I should probably rewatch it as an adult.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Did you watch it when you were interested in acting? Because that's the lead.
I watched it when I was maybe didn't decide I wanted to like make that a career, but like when I was in drama.
Because that's Robert Sean Leonard's big thing, right? Yeah. McKinley has done the 2004 Alfie and Playing for Keeps, produced by Lisa Tornell and Marco Weber. Tornell is on Jawbreaker, and she was a co-producer on The Craft, and Weber has done Brooklyn's Finest and The 13th Floor. There's another one. I guess kind of a big cast. Kieran Culkin as Igby, obviously recent Academy Award winner for A Real Pain. He's also in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and the TV show Succession, which everybody and the mother keeps telling me to watch.
He's also Fuller, and he wets the bed.
That's true. Claire Danes as Sookie from Romeo and Juliet, to the TV show Homeland and the TV show My So-Called Life. Jeff Goldblum as DH. He is the godfather of Igby.
He's not a nice guy.
He's the godfather of Igby, and then you find out in the movie that he is the father of Igby.
Yes.
He's in Jurassic Park, obviously, The Fly, The Big Chill, and he's an Oscar nominated, but not for actor. I think for producer for a short.
Really?
Little Surprises but he's never been nominated for acting award.
That's surprising. He's great in everything, but he is Jeff Goldblum in everything.
Yeah. That's
just
fair.
like a different version of him.
Jared Harris as Russell. From the TV show Chernobyl, which I highly recommend, and also The Terror, another TV show, the first season.
And The Expanse.
I didn't even get to my Mad Men one, but yes, Mad Men and The Expanse, exactly. Amanda Peet as Rachel. She is DH's girlfriend. Yeah, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
She's in The Whole Nine Yards. Identity.
A movie we did this past Forgotten Horror.
Right, in the TV show Brockmire. Ryan Philippe as Oliver. Is it Philippe or Felipe?
I think it's Felipe.
Is it Felipe?
Yeah.
All right. As Oliver, he is Igby's older brother from Crash, Cruel Intentions, 54, and MacGruber, of course.
Nice. A movie we did like season 2 or 3.
And one movie we both love.
That movie was amazing. And he's on the show.
What show?
They brought it back to the MacGruber TV.
Oh, right. In this, and we can talk about it a little later, I just felt like he was just the same character from Cruel Intentions.
Elise and I were talking about that before I left today to record this. Because I was like, I'm just going to let you know exactly I want to know what you think of the film before I start talking about it. Okay. And but
you were telling Elise.
Yeah, we were talking about it, and I go, and maybe I'm not remembering this. Isn't Ryan Philippe just doing his same character from Cruel Intentions? And she was like, yeah.
Feels that way.
Yeah, exactly the same douchey voice and everything.
But to be fair, he's playing a rich guy in that.
A rich preppy school kid. Yeah.
It's the same role.
I wonder if they cast him for that reason. Like they liked him.
Well, Cruel Intentions was 99. Yeah, maybe.
So they were like, listen, we basically want you to be the same guy. Just don't bang your sister.
He knows it. I know. Bill Pullman as Jason. He is Igby's, you think is his dad that raised them. And obviously Jason's dad, Oliver's dad. He's in Independence Day, Spaceballs, The Last Seduction.
A movie we did.
And the TV show The Sinner. If you haven't seen that, that's pretty good. Susan Sarandon as Mimi, who is the mother that Igby hates. Dead Man Walking. She won an Oscar for Dead Man Walking, excuse me. She's also nominated for The Client, Lorenzo's Oil, Thelma and Louise, and Atlantic City. Bill Irwin as Lieutenant Smith. He's the guy that runs the military school.
Military academy.
Yeah. He's in Rachel Getting Married, Lady in the Water, but also more importantly, he was the second Mr. Noodle in Sesame Street. I don't know if you know that.
I do not.
Do you even know who Mr. Noodle is?
I don't remember. I mean, I used to watch Sesame Street.
Mr. Noodle usually comes on during the Elmo segment of Sesame Street, and it used to be Michael Jeter, and then he passed away, and then Bill Irwin did it. But he's he's got a big hat and he's like goofy and all the kids are like, Mr. Noodle. And he's like, ooh, what? And he's like, it's funny. I don't know. I had kids, so obviously that's all I watched. Celia Watson as Bunny from Night and Day, and You're Cordially Invited. And then you had Rory Culkin in there as young Igby. Jim Gaffigan as the manager. This is probably before he was like
big when he's still doing stand up. Yeah.
Eric Bogosian as the guy who buys weed from Igby at one point, who's the husband of his old teacher, Mrs. Piggy, who is Cynthia Nixon. And Gore Vidal is in there as well. Gore Vidal is the director's uncle or godfather. He's related. They're related. I think it's his uncle. He's in there for a hot second. He's the school headmaster in one of the schools. Okay. Butler. How do you want to start? You want to tell me how you felt?
I mean, if there was ever a film about a rich, precocious brat that like exemplified everything I hate about precocious brats, it's this film. Like, it's just...
There is definitely a bias on this side for the wealthy.
Yes. I hate them. Those that are born into it are the most they just have no concept of reality.
The reality is different. From a lot of others.
Yes. They live on this higher plane that they think is better, and it's not. It is a smaller pin drop of what real life is, and their complaints and their problems are pedantic and terrible and stupid. And this kid is complaining about the dumbest things. But I will say this about the film.
Okay.
As I'm going through it, I hate Igby. I hate Igby. I hate Igby. He deserves every bad thing that happens to him. When DH beats the crap out of him later on in the movie, I was like clapping. I was like, yes, I loved it. I was like, when he woke up in the hospital, he didn't have enough broken bones. But then when they cycle back, again, we'll get into it. And
we're into it now.
They're killing. He kills. The movie opens with them Igby and his brother killing their mother.
Matricide.
And you don't know exactly why, but as the movie goes on, you realize she's sick. So it's pretty clear that when you remember that they were killing, like, it was she wanted them to.
It was a
they
discussed
thing.
It. Yeah.
When they finally get back to that scene and they finally killed her, and Igby realizes that he was wrong. And he starts crying or whatever. And it's just like, okay, I kind of like, not that I forgive the movie. I still have to watch this precocious little brat get away with everything. But the movie tries to it teaches him a lesson. The movie is called Igby Goes Down, and he goes down. He gets to the bottom of the barrel. He realizes that he was the dick the whole time. And I kind of like that. So I have to suffer with this brat for a while, but then he actually learns his lesson, and it's showing you that this kid is not like a lot of movies do. Oh, he's just precocious. He's different. He's in this other. We're like, no, he sucks.
Does he learn his lesson though?
I think he learns his lesson enough for me within this concept.
But at the end of the film, he's got his money.
He does have money, but he doesn't have as much money as he thought, because he doesn't have any of his dad's money.
Well, he doesn't have the money. He'll get
has.
The money when he turns 18, right?
Yeah, but the mom says it's not as much.
Right, but probably still got a check. He still got a check. He's still got
the fat juicy check from his mom.
I mean,
so regardless, he still kind of gets away with it, but he does kind of realize that he was wrong. So
I understand what you're saying. No, I get it. I just don't think he's
learns it enough. He doesn't pay for his crimes.
If there's an Igby Goes Down 2, I don't think he's gonna change his ways. I think it's just gonna be.
There's an Igby Goes Down 2. He's burned through.
Let's be honest. Bruce Wayne in Batman Begins tosses away his entire fortune more than Igby does. He leaves. He gets on a boat and he just leaves. Yeah, I mean, like he just turns his back away from everything and just becomes dirt poor. This kid's going to California with a big fat check.
Yeah, come on, people.
You're no Batman.
Wayne Igby.
So let's talk about that final scene, because I had a different reaction to that scene, and it's not necessarily negative, but I felt I was watching an actor still trying to figure it out. That scene when he's bang and he's hitting and he's doing, I just felt I didn't buy that emotion, and it's not it's completely not a negative against the acting or Culkin or anything like that. It's just, I think he's just new. He's new to young, and I don't think he's figured out. You know what I mean? Like,
sure, I'm sure
what that scene needs.
I'm sure if he was doing it now, it would be different.
Right. Agreed.
But it's also a little spoiled brat who's a child having basically a temper tantrum.
Sure.
Who doesn't know how to use his emotions because he doesn't really use them well throughout the entire film.
That's fair.
You see it throughout the film, like when his brother is banging his own girlfriend.
Yeah,
and he's still like asking for her back because he's scared because he's alone. He's a child.
Well, he's 15.
He's 17.
17.
A couple months away from being 18.
Right.
Because they bring that up a bunch. But so it's like, I get what you're saying, and I completely agree with it. But at the same time, I feel like he still has to have that kind of temper tantrum moment. He still has to have a very childish reaction.
But to me, the character throughout the movie is speaking and acting like an adult, and clearly he's not yet. But we can see that. But
right.
What bugs me a little bit in the movie is that the other adults don't see that. Like the willingness of Sookie to sleep with him, I don't even know what Rachel's doing when she sleeps with him as well.
She just takes advantage of him. She just kind of goes.
And I just
I think because she's on.
Is that at that point she's doing stuff?
I think she's doing stuff the whole time. It just gets worse as it goes.
But she didn't seem like she was doing heroin to start, because they just cut to her with the track marks.
Right.
At one point, I was like, oh, she's doing drugs. Okay. Like I could believe like if she was doing cocaine or she was doing amphetamines or something like that, because that's how she was reacting.
She's definitely on high. She's definitely on coke because she does like the sniffing and stuff like that.
But then she starts doing the heroin.
She gets into the harder stuff. But I think she gets into the heroin after she takes the bad.
Well, she does take the bad
dose, and then that's when
the whole thing with Jared Harris.
Yeah,
no, that was the track marks were before that scene.
Were the track marks before that scene?
Because there was one point where they showed that, but that was also, I didn't realize Jared Harris was dealing drugs. Like I didn't realize like that was going on.
I mean, I didn't realize, but it doesn't shock me.
No.
But yeah,
not at all. But my original point was maybe it's more so Sookie, like just her willingness to just be with him and like he's a kid. He's 17, doesn't know what he's doing.
Sookie's got like the same issue as Igby. She's this precocious, unrealistic child person.
Right.
That is apparently how much older is Ryan Philippe
Well, he's in college, so I'm imagining he's 21. He's 21. He's drinking, so he's 20. He's over 21. He's at least 21.
He's got to be 4 or 5 years.
They're 21
older.
Or 22.
Yeah,
they're definitely of drinking age. But again, with Sookie, like she just goes and sleeps with Oliver. Now, Oliver is clearly not a good dude.
No.
Like he's not like he's self-centered and he's about himself. He's a narcissist and stuff like that. So, like Sookie has her own set of issues or values or whatever that we're not seeing, but also she's presented in a way where she's like the sane or the normal person within these relationships.
But she's still doing his brother. Yeah.
I think there's some work to be done with the characters, all of them, whether it's more in the script or whatever, in the acting, whatever it is. I mean, it's an indie film, and I always herald indie films because of just the way they are and the shot. So I can't really knock it for that too. So I can't really say what I'm saying, but understand like, well, we talked about how Culkin was
cast
2 weeks right before they went into production. So I understand it's rushed. I get it. I guess I just my wanting of more is because there's something there worth watching. Does that make sense? Like I want more because
I guess
I'm interested enough to be. I
don't want a longer movie though.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying
spend more time with these people.
I'm not saying a longer film. I'm saying within the scenes that we have, give me more.
I think Sookie should not be sleeping with what the hell is his name?
Oliver.
Sookie should not be sleeping with Oliver that quickly. If the whole point is she betrays him, Igby, at some point, then let it happen, I guess. But it's got to be a little later. She just so easily, like, he's drunk, he's being kind of crass to her, and then she just lets him sleep with her. It's just kind of like, where is this coming from?
Right.
And that just kind of like, okay, because you need the story beat to be that she's just going to betray Igby. It didn't make any sense to me. And then like that, Igby doesn't immediately just get the ick and like, just no, like, come on.
So there's other little writing things in here that I made note of. And it might be stupid. It might just me being like, Mike, knock it off. But they don't ever name that she has cancer. They just say she's sick.
I mean, they do say that she got a mastectomy.
Yeah, but they don't ever
So, I mean, that's kind of
they never
get
really kind of give you what's going on. And I don't know if that's they're like, we don't need to, people will know, or they're just trying to be different. I don't know that choice. I don't understand that choice as I watched it. The whole idea when Sookie starts talking, when Sookie does that's funny a couple times and he's like, just laugh. Why would you say that's funny? Stop saying that's funny.
I hate that line. I hated that.
Hold up. That's a Seinfeld bit. That's from Seinfeld. And that's like,
that
probably
is a Seinfeld bit.
So I'm like, did you just take it?
The thing about when Seinfeld says it, because it's a sitcom, you can have those conversations that are unrealistic. Seinfeld's whole thing is like thoughts that you think that are annoying, you just say out loud to people. This is that kind of like precocious, unrealistic dialogue that indie movies say. That is why I don't like indie movies that like present themselves as indie movies, because they have their characters say things you would never say realistically. And like, that's one of them.
That's why you don't like Juno.
Oh, I hate Juno. And yeah, that whole conversation, I rolled my eyes and I was just like, ugh. I think I got up and like got a selfie.
Well, there's
that whole diner scene is just kind of like,
there's moments in the movie where I don't find are funny. And I don't know if they're meant to be funny in terms of like Igby's incessant need to consistently tear down his brother. To like, he makes jokes about Oliver constantly.
The hate my brother's a Republican douche jokes.
All the stuff he
every
does.
5 seconds.
And I'm like, am I supposed to be laughing at these, or am I supposed to be feeling bad for him? I don't know what my reaction is supposed to be.
He's such a plucky little precocious kid.
That's what I'm saying.
Because he's precocious.
If the idea is that the audience is going to laugh along, I'm not, and it's kind of annoying me now, because now don't make me take the side of Oliver, but it's kind of annoying. Like,
that's the thing, though.
It's like one note. It becomes one note.
The whole thing is like, you could tell Oliver's a villain, like not a villain, but like not a good guy. But I kind of like Oliver more than Igby, because at least Oliver's not like this precocious little douche.
Well,
he's I am what I am. I'm a narcissistic Republican, and at least I'm not pretending to be something I'm not.
Oliver knows what he wants, and he's with DH because he knows DH can help him. That's why he's with DH. He knows he can learn a lot from him. He wants that life. Yes, there's some appreciation for somebody who knows what they want and they're going for it and they're doing it, and he's not hiding it.
That's what here's my other issue with rich people. They always hide their motives and what they want and why they do things. And I always appreciate the people that are just admit it. I like money. I like power. I like this. I like having 8 billion houses. Just say it. Just say it and admit it. That's what you want to do. Then just say that's what you want to do.
But do you think that, so do you buy the fact that money changes you, or money just reveals who you really are? Which one do you believe? Like, you suddenly become wealthy.
I think it's a little bit of both.
Right.
I think it does affect you, but I think that it just shows more of who you are, because I think that someone who spent most of their life poor or like on the line of like normalcy.
Well, you're not necessarily poor.
I'm not poor. I'm not saying like third world country poor, but like, and I'm not comparing, like, I'm never going to be rich. I'm paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Someone who lives like that.
Not to put your stuff out there for
someone who lives like that, or even you.
Hey,
you got a nice house and everything, but like,
I'm not.
If you got $100 million,
yes,
you're pretty
this podcast is over.
But you're still pretty much going to be you, because you've had your lived in experiences as like a normal person.
Yeah.
And you might get a little douchier because you got that power. That's fine. Whoa. But it's not going to affect you as much as someone who's like.
Let me tell you what it would happen. Okay. Obviously, if that happened, I would take care of certain things first. The house, whatever, improvements, college funds, all that jazz. But there will be time when you would get a phone call and I'd be like, keep this weekend open, and I wouldn't tell you why. And I'd go, meet me at like Bradley, and then there'd be a jet and we're going somewhere. That's what it would be. And I would take like all my friends, like I'll get everyone together, but leave this weekend open. We're going, and I'd be like, everything's on me. Let's have a great weekend. Let's have some fun. And that would be it. Like, that's the kind of stuff I would do. So, karma, let's go. But that's the kind of stuff I would do. Like, and I wouldn't brag. I wouldn't boast about it. I would make sure that everything is safe. But I wouldn't I wouldn't flaunt it. I would never flaunt it.
Sure.
Because I don't want people to know my business. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, because you can't imagine the amount of people that'll come with just, hey, what's up, man? I'm your friend. And I'd be like, get lost. I'd probably have to hire a security team. But no, I understand what you're saying.
But the thing with the Igby characters are they don't come from money, or they don't earn their money. Like, all these kids are already wealthy. With the exception of maybe we don't know how DH got his money. I assume DH actually did work for his money.
I was going to ask you that. I was wondering if two things. One, do we think that DH came up from a self-made man? And two, did he marry the woman that he's with for the money? I was curious his backstory.
I think DH made the money himself. I think Bonnie is his wife, right?
I believe, yes.
I think Bonnie... Probably he did love Bonnie at one point, but Bonnie is kind of losing her mind.
But she's much older than him, right?
She is much older than him. She's got some kind of dementia or mental instability at this point, which is, I think, why he's now.
I think that's
he's probably always philandered.
Just fancy talk for maybe she's self-medicated a little bit or something like that.
But yeah, I think DH probably came up because he's working on the loft. He wants them to get their hands dirty. Both of the boys to get their hands dirty and actually work on stuff.
It seems like it. Yeah.
So I think DH, other than the fact that, he sleeps around, is not necessarily, I think he's got the right mindset. I think he legitimately wants to help both of them, Oliver and Igby. And I think that, obviously Igby pushes DH to the point of, I'm going to beat the crap out of you now. Enough's enough of you interfering and getting involved and doing this just to spite me for no reason.
Right. It's a modern day spanking a little bit.
Basically,
he's never been reprimanded before. And yes, it's a little extreme, but he's, but he's never been reprimanded before. You think he just does whatever he
gets away with it. And this is the first time he gets caught.
But even then, Mike, when he's in the hospital room after that, he's cracking jokes and it's not a big deal.
Yeah. I hated that when he wakes up. He's like,
it's like the kid in A Walk in the Tombstones when he gets the crap kicked out of him. He's still chilling.
But at least in Walk Among the Tombstones, I can believe that wasn't the first time that he's from the streets. He's been on his own for a while. What is Igby? This is his first beatdown. This is the first time this kid's probably got his nose.
And that goes to my whole point and that goes to what I was talking about earlier, where I just don't think he learns anything. I just don't think he's going to learn anything from this.
I think he learns that his mother isn't the villain that he paints her out to be.
And that he needs to do a lot of work with himself.
And he needs to do a lot of work with himself.
So the solution to that, for me to know that, is for him to go to DH and be like, help me.
You know what I mean? There needed to be a scene at the end where he confronts DH about being his dad and learning his lesson.
Yeah.
DH still comes back to that house, is still helping the boys, even after he beat the crap out of Igby.
Yeah.
There needed to be a scene between the two of them. That's your father. Now you know that's your father. And I like that he goes to meet Bill Pullman one last time.
Right.
Because that's the guy who raised him.
Right.
But he's got to come to something with DH as well. Mm. And his conversation with Oliver is just kind of you didn't learn anything. Nothing's coming of this. You're just, I hate your guts. I hate your guts too. All right. So we just got a little bit of blood between, a never diminishing. I do like that line. So we really have nothing in common except for an ever diminishing amount of blood between us. And that's true.
Yeah.
And there's nothing. So I don't like that they had a last scene together because they have nothing. Oliver is unforgivable for doing what he did. Igby still clearly hates him. There just needed to be that last scene with DH, not Oliver.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you were painting a pretty broad brush over quote unquote wealthy people, rich people.
Oh, of course. I'm not saying every single person that has money is bad.
My only counter to that was there's different experiences. We all have different levels of what is reality or what's the norm and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
We work just to give you a quick, I told you this already, we worked in the mall and mall is a diverse group of people. Then my aunt comes to visit and she's just wow, it's really dangerous in here. And it's really what I mean? It's what they experience, what certain people experience, what we experience are completely different. And and I don't think they're obtuse to it. I just don't think they just don't know. And they've never experienced that.
I think they can also be obtuse.
And some people, no. I think there are people that are just I don't care. And there are other people no, I want to know more. I want, right. Yeah. But those are but when you have that, when you have access to a different kind of world like that and two homes and vacation home and hey, we're going here and we're doing this and we're going on our fifth vacation.
You know what? When you have that many vacations,
it's very difficult to turn from that.
Then read. then watch the news, something other than the Fox Business Channel, something that's actually like news, and learn about the world and learn about other people.
It's very difficult to turn to that.
They become closed.
Right.
But I also, there was, I can't remember who or why this conversation, but one of my buddies who was like took psych classes and stuff, like that was his major, and then he switched. Was talking about like degrees of suffering.
Yeah.
So like obviously rich snooty people like in movies and books and stuff, it's like, or even real life, like some of these things are akin to, having been shot or like losing, because that's their degree of suffering is just like, they're so high up that their degree of suffering is like a paper cut is like a gunshot wound, basically.
I can understand that, but it doesn't excuse it.
Oh, that's that was my whole thing. It's like, I get it. But
that's not a reason not a reason to allow that.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. No, okay, let's move beyond that. I don't know why we started talking about stuff like
because
this.
We're talking about these characters that are just like their suffering is pointless.
But that's what I'm saying. That's like, that leads to me just not believing that Igby's learned anything and not really. I guess at the crux of it, at the core of this, I don't care enough about the lead.
I don't care about anybody in this film.
Right. It feels, I don't want to say tone deaf, but it feels like I just, you know what I mean? Like it feels a little tone deaf. Like who does this relate to? It's like watching, like I want to watch. Yes, I kind of want to watch the Seth Rogen show, The Studio. But I don't work in Hollywood, so how am I going to get all that? You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, but like I feel like the two of us, like we know like enough about the industry.
Sure, but like,
we'll get some
what's
of the
different
jokes.
from The Studio than in The Player or in the other movies that we've watched, the countless other films that we watch where everyone's out for themselves. And,
I'm sure part of it is still kissing ass about the movie industry. I'm sure some of it's like that.
And like the whole media tour for it is almost like an apology letter to all the studios. Oh, everyone here cares and loves about films. I've met so many executives that care about movies. And
where? Yeah. Where have you met them?
And anyways, let me get to some critics.
Lay mommy.
Stephen Holden from the New York Times credited this movie with, quote, ruthless, emotional honesty, stating, quote, not a false note is sounded.
Like anybody who would say that or praise this movie, I feel like is kind of an insufferable. Indie movies have to be great, or these people grew up wealthy.
All right. Let me give you Ebert's now.
Am I going to agree with Ebert for once?
No. It is an astounding filmmaking debut, balancing so many different notes and story elements. What Steers has not lost sight of in all emotional chaos is heart. Let me ask you this. Do you think our problems with, because I already know you hate that. Do you think our problems with it are because we're 20 years removed from it? And like, you know what I mean? With that this movie has not aged well.
I will say that Elise told me, because I was like, give me a quote that I can use. Give me something so I can let you know your like opinion. And she's like, she enjoyed watching it again because she loves the movie because she grew up with the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But she said if she had watched it now, she didn't know if she would still like it the way she did back then. If this was her first time watching, she did not know if she would like the movie.
Now, I didn't like it back when I watched it.
I was going to ask you after the review section, but do you like it? Did you like it more this time or less this time?
I think I felt the same way.
The same way?
And so let's say it's 20 years. So I'm about 20. I'm 30. No. How old am I? I'm so about 30 when I watched it. So I'm a little older. I'm not young. I'm not like Igby's age. I'm like 21, 20. So like,
that's like, at least watched it when she was like 17.
Right. So I don't have that affinity to that. I'm a little older. I'm at this point, I'm married. So yeah, I think I felt the same way. I just couldn't connect and I was just like, whatever. And I think now maybe with time, with the way the world is, the way our current society is in terms of the big split down the middle. Plus, I mean, we know a lot more now. There's a lot more knowledge out there because of social media, whether it's fake or not fake, in terms of the split of the 99%, the top 1%, all that stuff. Yeah. So I think that kind of affects our viewpoint of this film because it's like we just talked about. We just laid out it's about a wealthy brat who and all that stuff. And we just don't feel bad. Because we have problems. We're like, not problems, but we have like, oh, I got to pay the mortgage this week. I got to make sure that
Igby will never. I
got to make sure I save up, like stuff like that. It's just kind of like, go away.
I think the movie would have worked better if it focused on it's about Igby and his mother.
Okay.
That seems to be the only lesson he kind of sort of learns or comes to some kind of terms with. So that needs to be the focus.
I would not argue, but I would also add that it seems like Mimi, the mother, has a better idea of the world than anyone else in exception of DH, as a better idea of what the world really is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And she knows that they are privileged, and that's how she plays that role.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she may not be a good person, but she's trying to do the best for her kids.
Yeah. In
her own kind of crappy way.
She wouldn't get Igby into all these schools by hounding these headmasters if she did not care for him.
Yeah.
Trying to give him.
Which I think is what Igby learns, unfortunately, way too late.
Yeah. Mark Kermode from Guardian. This is my last one.
Okay.
Whatever the self-indulgent shortcomings of Igby Goes Down, one cannot help but be tickled by the rancid misanthropy that infects its dialogue, if not its direction.
No. These are all positive reviews. I can't agree with any of these.
There's one quote in here in the movie that I wrote down because I liked it.
Okay.
And it was, I think he was talking to Sookie. I'm not really sure. Maybe not, but he was like lesbian and she's like, no, just a failed heterosexual. I liked that line. I think that was Sookie, right?
I don't remember that line.
I liked that line. I don't know why. It was funny. All right, Mike, would you recommend this to anybody?
I think it's interesting, especially now that Kieran Culkin's blowing up. I really loves him and everything he's in. I like him when he talks. Like, he's kind of got that like Robert Downey Jr. fast talking, but I do think he's kind of clever. And knowing the Culkin family, like what they came from, like
personally, oh wow,
not personally, but when like their father wasn't the greatest guy and stuff like that. Like, it's cool to see them succeed later in life.
Don't have great parents.
Yeah, it's cool to see them succeed later in life. So it's interesting to see like what he did when he was younger. Obviously post Fuller, because Fuller has no lines. But it's interesting to see him at the kind of the beginning of his career doing serious stuff. It's got a ton of characters. I think it's cool to see Jeff Goldblum as a dick. Like it's a type of character he doesn't. Yeah, but it's a type of character he doesn't usually play. He's very toned down from his usual Goldblum-esque. He doesn't really get any chance to really.
He's kind of he's got jerkish tendencies in The Big Chill.
Yeah, but he's still pretty charming in the Big Chill at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of cool. I think I like the scene with the mom at the end. I think the payoff is, I'm not saying worth it, but more worth it than you'll get in a lot of other films about precocious little like Charlie St. Cloud and stuff like that, which I actually don't hate Charlie St. Cloud.
But it's not. Died.
What?
It's about a kid who died.
But like...
Granted, it's about rich kids who die.
Exactly. So
I can't believe I watched Charlie St. Cloud.
But like when you watch these films, there's nothing that usually comes out of it, or they all succeed and whatever. And yes, he gets his money, but he kind of gets more depressed and he learns that he was wrong. So like that's kind of cool. So if you like indie movies, I would say that. If you're a Kieran Culkin fan, I would suggest it. But for the most part, like I don't think people like I know would really like the movie, because I think a lot of people have the same problem you and I have. It's just like, it's not relatable. And I think that's a problem even Elise had watching it now.
Okay, well,
what she said.
What about recommend it to the people that you produce a podcast for, that you edit a podcast for, that we know? Do you think that group would
the cinephiles?
If there were cinephiles within where you are freelancing, I'm trying not to give them.
Oh.
Do you think they would be into it?
No, because I think they like where they are, and Igby resents it for no reason at all. Like Igby resents his wealth but doesn't really have a reason why other than to be precocious.
Yeah, he doesn't resent it enough not to have it.
Yeah. He takes that money. It's not like I'm just going to go off and make something of myself. Give me my money.
Yeah, the assumption that when he leaves home, he skips out, he's just going to go stay at a loft.
Yeah. The people we know at least still work.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's a lazy rich bum.
So then are we saying it's forgotten because of we're saying it didn't age well?
It didn't age well. It didn't make a lot of money. No, so it's not like a big movie. Even as an indie.
It's a New York indie.
It was surrounded by a ton of movies. Like a ton of movies came out around that time.
I feel like indies shot in LA have a longer life than indies shot in New York. And I think that's because LA's film culture and Hollywood, and you know what I mean? Like it's all about video and film out there, where New York is about the stage and somewhat film. I think it's always stage first, then film second.
Do you also think because New York evolves with the times and LA films kind of are always LA films? Like LA doesn't really change because it's always about the same. Hollywood's basically the same.
Well, because Los Angeles is not, has a lot of their culture is just what all these transplants have brought to that. I mean, yes, there's things that you see, oh, that's LA. I get it. I'm not saying it's not. But with New York, it just feels like there's a more, and I hate using this word, a rich tapestry of. Yeah,
and it evolves with life. Yeah.
I always think that New York is real.
It's 100% realer than LA.
Yeah. I mean, I lived in New York for 2 months, and I was never afraid to live in New York. You know what I mean? I was never, but like, as people are grumpy and people look down and people just, but like, that's like, people are getting stuff done. People need to get, are doing things.
Oh, absolutely.
They're not goofing around. Like I always love when I see the videos of people doing like they're on TikToks or something in New York, and then people walk by and they're yelling at them.
Don't care.
And I'm like, that's what it was like. That's what it's like now. So yeah, like don't do your bullshit there.
Walk right in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Steal the camera if you put it 4 feet in front of you. Like, don't put your.
You're asking for it.
Yeah.
You're asking.
You
for
wanted
it.
Yeah.
So no. So I maybe it's a little biased because we're East Coast, but yeah, I do think.
I grew up watching a lot of LA things. I like a lot of LA things, but I do think New York just evolves,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that an LA independent thing from the early 2000s is still going to look like an LA thing from the mid.
So you think that's why it lasts long? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, that's 2001 New York, 2002 New York. That's not today New York, because New York's always changing, always evolving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. I mean, yeah. Awesome. All right. Where can they find us?
You can find us at ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts or shows or whatever this is. If you like what you're hearing, what you're seeing, what you're listening to, just rate, subscribe. All that stuff really does help the podcast. Comment down below. What's your favorite precocious rich kid movie? Let us know if we're wrong, rich people. If you're watching the show, fund us. And we'll do all the rich content you want. We'll change our beat like right away.
Okay.
Yeah, we will. Where was I? Oh, and if you like Forgotten Cinema, we also have a Patreon, patreon.com/Forgotten Cinema. You go on there, you get exclusive episodes, discount merch, Discord access, stickers, all that kind of good stuff. We also have a merch store. Get your shirts, get your mugs, all that good stuff. That's what I got.
Right. And so join us next week as we're going to the 90s, 1995. We're going to watch the David Caruso, Nicolas Cage, Sam Jackson movie, Kiss of Death. I'm very interested to see what Butler thinks of this film. I'm just very interested in what you think of this film.
I'm going to tell you right now, the opening of this episode is going to be me bench pressing a stripper. That's what we're going to start. Awesome. Feels like I want to go to 40. Wow.
Awesome. I love Nick Cage. All right. So that is next week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema.
Hey guys, we hope you liked our discussion for Igby Goes Down. If you like that kind of dark comedy kind of stylings from the late 90s, early 2000s, we just did Death to Smoochie with Robin Williams and Edward Norton. That's going to be right above me right here.
And if you want to have a movie where it's more about life and somebody trying to find their place in the world, much like Igby, when Igby Goes Down, we did The Secret Life of Walter Mitty with Ben Stiller. That is above me. Hope you enjoy. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Take care. We're Forgotten Cinema. Bye-bye. That was bad.